the victors of wars write history. But there are some wars so impactful that we still feel their effects millennia later. Join us today as we examine 20 of the most impactful wars throughout all of human history. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe for more insightful historical tales. And be sure to stick around until the end as we uncover which conflict topped our list. Number 20, Peloponnesian War, 431–404 BCE. The Peloponnesian War was a devastating conflict in ancient Greece that pitted the Delian League, led by Athens, against the Peloponnesian League, spearheaded by Sparta. This war, which historians consider one of the most significant in history, arose from growing tensions over maritime disputes and Athenian hegemony. Athens, with its powerful navy, controlled the Aegean Sea, while Sparta, renowned for its disciplined army, dominated the Peloponnese. The war was marked by key battles such as the Battle of Salamis and the Siege of Melos. However, it was Athens that suffered a decisive defeat after a decade of conflict, succumbing to a Spartan-led invasion. This defeat not only marked the decline of Athenian power, but also significantly weakened the Greek city-states, creating an environment ripe for outside domination. It was during this period that Philip II of Macedon and his son Alexander the Great rose to prominence, unifying Greece under Macedonian rule. The war's legacy resonates through its impact on the balance of power in the region and its contribution to the broader Hellenistic era. Number 19. Punic Wars. The Punic Wars were a series of 3 conflicts between Rome and Carthage from 264 to 146 BCE. The First Punic War, sparked by disputes over Sicily, resulted in a stalemate and a treaty that awarded Sicily to Rome. The Second Punic War saw Hannibal Barca's brilliant military campaigns across Italy despite limited resources. Despite victories at the Battle of Cannae and other engagements, Hannibal's inability to fully control Rome led to a counter-invasion of Spain by Rome. Eventually, the war concluded with Hannibal's defeat and Carthage's forced cession of territories. The Third Punic War culminated in Rome's complete destruction of Carthage, killing or enslaving much of its population and selling its land. The Punic Wars played a pivotal role in establishing Rome as the dominant Mediterranean power, clearing the way for its future expansion. 18. Macedonian Wars, 214–148 BCE. The Macedonian Wars were a series of conflicts between the Roman Republic and the Kingdom of Macedon in the 3rd century BCE. The wars marked an expansionist phase in Roman history as Rome extended its influence eastward. Initially prompted by Macedonian King Philip V's alliance with Hannibal during the Second Punic War, the conflict escalated due to ambitions of both Rome and Macedon. After several battles and evolving alliances, Rome emerged victorious, annexing Greece and Macedonia. The Peace of Brundisium granted Roman control over Greece and included provisions for the disarmament of Macedon. Subsequently, the Roman conquest of Greece facilitated the dissemination of Roman law and culture throughout the eastern Mediterranean, contributing to the Hellenization of Rome and its provinces. 17. Roman-Persian Wars, 92 BCE, 627 CE. The Roman-Parthian and Sassanid Wars encompass a series of prolonged conflicts fought between the Roman Empire and the Parthian and later the Sassanid empires. The wars primarily centered around control of territories along the eastern borders of the Roman Empire, notably Mesopotamia. The conflicts were characterized by fluctuating fortunes with neither side able to achieve a decisive victory. The wars profoundly impacted the trajectory of both empires, shaping the balance of power in the Middle East. They also had significant cultural consequences, influencing the spread of religions and artistic traditions. One of the most notable figures associated with these wars is the Roman Emperor Trajan, who pushed the empire's boundaries further east than any previous ruler, reaching as far as Mesopotamia. 16. Crusades, 1096–1291. The Crusades were a series of religiously motivated military expeditions sanctioned by the Latin Church in the medieval period, primarily targeting Muslim-controlled regions in the Middle East. Motivated by religious zeal, European Christians aimed to reclaim the Holy Land, which Muslims had controlled since the 7th century. Though often portrayed as a single event, the Crusades spanned across 2 centuries and involved multiple campaigns with varying objectives. While the initial crusade led to the establishment of Crusader states in the Levant, these were eventually recaptured by Muslim forces. The Crusades left a lasting impact, intensifying Christian-Muslim tensions and stimulating trade and cultural exchanges between Europe and the Middle East. Ultimately, they failed in their primary objective of securing permanent Christian control over Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. 15. Mongol conquests, 1206–1368. The Mongol conquests represent one of the most extensive and rapid territorial expansions in history, covering an astonishing geographic range from China to Eastern Europe. Under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongols assembled the largest contiguous land-based empire the world has ever seen. Their military prowess and innovative strategies enabled them to conquer vast territories, incorporating diverse cultures and peoples under their rule. The Mongol Empire facilitated trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia, most notably through the revitalization of the Silk Road. However, their conquests also resulted in immense destruction and loss of life. As the Mongol Empire fragmented into various khanates, internal conflicts and rivalries emerged, leading to the eventual decline of the empire. Nevertheless, the Mongol conquests had a profound impact on Eurasian history, influencing political boundaries, trade networks, and cultural interactions for centuries to come. 14. 100 Years' War, 1337–1453. The 100 Years' War was a protracted conflict between England and France that spanned from 1337 to 1453. Despite its duration, the war wasn't continuous and featured periods of truce and resumed hostilities. The war had deep historical roots, including disputes over the English throne and control of territories in France. Iconic figures like Joan of Arc played a significant role in rallying French troops and shifting the tide of the war. The 100 Years' War marked a turning point in medieval warfare, introducing new tactics and technologies. Ultimately, the war solidified French national identity and centralized power in France, while diminishing English claims to French territory. With the English definitively expelled from France by 1453, the war's conclusion marked a significant shift in European power dynamics. 13. Ottoman conquests, 1299–1683. The Ottoman conquests span the remarkable expansion of the Ottoman Empire from a small Turkish principality in the 13th century to a sprawling dominion controlling vast territories across 3 continents by the 16th century. This expansion involved the conquest of Byzantine Anatolia, the Balkans, and the Middle East. Key events include the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire, and the Battle of Karansibes, where the Ottomans defeated the Hungarians, halting their advance into Europe. At its peak, the Ottoman Empire stretched from North Africa to the Caucasus, and included regions like Anatolia, the Arabian Peninsula, and the Balkans. The conquests shaped the political and cultural landscape of the Middle East and southeastern Europe, influencing the balance of power in the region for centuries to come. 12. 30 Years' War, 1618–1648. The 30 Years' War was a complex and devastating conflict fought primarily in Europe during the early modern period. Originating from religious tensions within the Holy Roman Empire, the war evolved into a wider European conflict involving various alliances and shifting loyalties. Key phases include the Bohemian Revolt, the Danish intervention, and the Swedish intervention. The Peace of Westphalia in 1648 brought an end to the war and had profound consequences. It established the modern nation-state system, recognized the sovereignty of independent states within the Holy Roman Empire, and ushered in an era of religious pluralism in Europe. The war's impact reshaped the political and religious landscape of Europe, laying the foundation for the continent's modern configuration. Number 11. 7 Years' War, 1756–1763. The 7 Years' War was a global conflict, fought primarily between Britain and France from 1756 to 1763. The war, part of a larger struggle for colonial supremacy, witnessed major battles across multiple continents, including North America, Europe, and Asia. In North America, the war, known as the French and Indian War, resulted in British victory and the expulsion of France from most of its North American territories. The 7 Years' War had profound implications for global power dynamics, establishing Britain as the dominant colonial power and setting the stage for the expansion of the British Empire in the late 18th and 19th centuries. The war's outcome also contributed to the decline of French power on the world stage. Number 10. American Revolutionary War, 1775–1783. The American Revolutionary War was a pivotal conflict in which 13 American colonies in North America successfully revolted against the rule of the Kingdom of Great Britain. The war, driven by colonial grievances over taxation and representation without self-governance, led to the creation of the United States of America. Key events include the battles of Lexington and Concord, the Declaration of Independence, and the subsequent military campaigns that culminated in the surrender of British General Cornwallis at Yorktown. The American victory in the war inspired democratic movements worldwide and established the United States as an independent nation. Napoleonic Wars, 1803–1815. The Napoleonic Wars were a series of conflicts in Europe and beyond involving Napoleon Bonaparte and his allies against a changing array of European coalitions. Originating from the French Revolution, Napoleon's rise to power led to extensive conquests across Europe. Key events include the Battle of Waterloo, which marked Napoleon's final defeat, and the peace settlements that redrew European borders. The Napoleonic Wars had a profound impact on European politics, spreading nationalist ideas and weakening monarchical authority. The conflict contributed to the decline of the Holy Roman Empire and reshaped the continent's political landscape. Number 8. American Civil War, 1861–1865. The American Civil War was a conflict fought between the United States and 11 breakaway Southern states that formed the Confederate States of America. The war, primarily caused by escalating tensions over slavery and states' rights, resulted in the preservation of the Union and the abolition of slavery. Key battles include the Battle of Gettysburg and the Siege of Vicksburg, marking turning points in the war. The American Civil War had far-reaching consequences, strengthening federal authority, promoting industrialization, and transforming the role of the United States in world affairs. Number 7. Franco-Prussian War, 1870–1871. The Franco-Prussian War was a conflict fought between France and a coalition of German states led by Prussia. The war, sparked by diplomatic tensions and strategic considerations, led to the swift defeat of France.